Welcome everybody. Today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the bowline. Okay, so let's just get right in how to tie this thing. First thing you're going to do is grab the rope and make a loop. Twist your hand and then untwist your hand. Twist your hand and untwist your hand.
Make a loop.
Making sure that the standing end is coming underneath. Like so. Not like this. So once you've made your twist, now you're simply going to do this. And here's how to remember this. So here's the end of your rope. We're going to call the end here the rabbit. So the rabbit is going to go up the hole around the tree, which is the standing end of the rope, and back down the hole. So up the hole, around the tree, and back down the hole. Now, you can see exactly what's going on there. You're going to grab these two strands here and the standing end and pull it to dress the knot. And that's what it should look like afterwards. And actually, to make this even a little more clear, okay guys, this is about as clear as I can make it now. Again, twist your hand, grab the rope, untwist your hand. Then again, here's our rabbit. He's going to go up the hole. He goes around his tree, and then he goes right back down the hole. Okay, but wait a minute, because you guys came here to be experts. So let's break all this down so that when you need to tie this out in the field, you know exactly what's going on. Okay, again, so we make our twist, and this is the most important part of this knot. The standing end of your rope or your tree needs to be coming from underneath here, okay? Not like this. You see how the tree is above here? You don't want that. And the way you can remember that is because trees come from underneath the ground, all right? So make sure and remember that. You have to start the knot out that way. Now, this is the way I learned the knot way back in Boy Scouts, and to this day, every time I tie the bowline, I do the rabbit goes up the hole around the tree in my head. And you know what? It's never let me down. So I hope it's starting to make sense. I'm going to show you another way to practice this that has a practical use and might be even more clear. So put your cord around you and then throw your standing end just on a table or something. It just becomes a little more easier to work and can sometimes help you see things a little clearer. Nothing changes with how we do the knot. Twist our hand, untwist our hand, go up the hole, around the tree, and back down the hole. So get a good look at that, guys. All right, now the next step in really mastering this knot, try tying it in awkward positions. For instance, if you're sitting in a stool like this, maybe just reach over to something that's near you and tie your bowline around it. Just like that. And you'll find that when you can tie it in all these awkward positions, maybe you're sitting in a chair and you lean behind you and tie it behind a chair leg. So maybe you could do something like going in your closet and tying a bowline around your closet rod. Maybe for Christmas this year, you can just tie a bunch of bowlines instead of ornaments. Once you're able to pretty much tie the bowline on demand, one use of a bowline, for instance, is as a rescue knot. Let's say, for instance, someone has kidnapped you and kept you in a pit in their house, and finally the police show up and throw you a rope down to help get you out. Or maybe we could just say a helicopter is throwing a rope down to you to pull you out of a lifeboat. That's why I say there's a practical purpose to tying in front of you. Now, if someone's pulling you up, this knot isn't going to tighten down and do more harm than it does good, and would be a good knot among others to use for this purpose. Another use you guys have probably seen is on a ridgeline. By having a bowline tied in the end of your ridgeline, it allows you to quickly pass a bight or a folded up section of cordage through the eye of your bowline, like so. And then you can place a stick through the cordage that you put through your bowline and pull it all tight. And then your ridge line going to your other tree will be held steady. And then to release, remove the toggle stick that you used, and it pops right loose. By using a bowline in a running bowline fashion, it can also be used to drag or hoist wood. You have the eye of the bowline here, passing the cordage through the other end. You can cinch it down and lift a log right off the ground. And I like doing this because when you need to take your rope loose, you don't have to untie a knot. It just loosens back up with no tension on it. Now, when the eye of the bowline is around cordage, this is called a running bowline because the bowline can move up and down the cordage or run, allowing it to constrict. Now, using this short section of cordage, I can simply place the end and pull all of my slack through. Now, let's say you have a bowline tied on a 100-foot piece of rope. You would not want to thread 100 feet of rope through this bowline. So what you can do is if you reach through the bowline and pull cordage through, now you have a running bowline. So let's say we want to tie a running bowline around this hatchet. So our standing end is here, and we'll say that that's 100 feet of rope that's going up to a hoist. So we don't have access to that end of the rope. We're going to make our hole for our rabbit, making sure our tree is coming underneath. Before the rabbit goes up the hole, we're going to take the working end of our rope and just go around itself. Okay? Now just bring everything back here. It'll all make sense in a second. Rabbit goes up the hole, around the tree, back down the hole. Dress our knot up. We have a bowline that is running on the standing end of the cordage. Now, as with any good knot, the bowline comes untied no matter how much force you put on it. And I'm going to really pull on this, okay? You can see how much I'm pulling on it. All right? And now it comes right apart. There's a lot of other uses for the bowline. Those are probably the most common ones that I use it for. But no matter where you find yourself using it, you're not going to be able to use it if you don't practice. You have to practice knots, okay? Grab yourself a whole arm's length, about 6 feet of 550 cord, and just put it in your pocket and practice knots. This stuff's great to practice knots with. And like I said, practice tying, and this goes for all your knots, practice tying them in weird positions. Like I'm on this stool, maybe I'll just lean over and tie me a bowline right there. I really do say it in my head every time that the rabbit goes up the hole, around the tree, back down the hole. I'm not lying about that. I would say the most important thing about this knot is just remembering that the tree part or the standing end of your rope comes underneath. And remember, because trees come from underneath the ground. And you'll see the bowline in many of my videos. I use it on my ridge lines. So go check them out and remember to practice, guys. And other than that, I hope you're doing well.